Behind me here, I have 1 year's worth of chicken for our family. Do you want to grow a year's worth of chicken for your family? We're going to talk about how to do that in today's video. Every year in our backyard, my wife and I raise a year's worth of chicken for our family. And you can do that too. It's not very hard and you don't need a lot of equipment. In today's video, we're going to talk about what kinds of chickens you want to raise, how many you're going to need, the equipment you need. So in just 8 to 12 weeks, you could raise enough chicken to feed your family all the chicken that it needs year round. So let's get into the details. The first question that you'll need to answer if you're going to get a year's worth of chicken on your homestead is what kind of chickens are you going to grow? This will depend on your goals and what style of farming is most important to you. This here is a Cornish Cross. It's a big, meaty bird. They grow really, really large breasts, which most of us are used to eating chicken with large breasts. They grow in 8 weeks, these birds finish. They're really incredible. But you can't raise your own, you have to buy them from a hatchery. So some people don't like buying from hatcheries. They want to have a more sustainable answer. We don't mind buying from hatcheries for our meat birds. We do have our own egg layers. If we were ever not able to get hatchery birds, we could harvest our own egg laying dual purpose birds. But just to put a bunch of meat in the freezer and to have some to sell, our customers like this breed, so we do like the Cornish. Some people though have the goal of being more self-sufficient and sustainable, and they don't want to raise chickens that they get from a hatchery. And so some people decide to go with a dual purpose chicken that they can raise and breed themselves on their own homestead. That's another option. A third option, which you'll see a little bit further behind me, is kind of the hybrid between the commercial and the heritage breed, and that's the Rangers. You'll hear about red Rangers, there's rainbow Rangers, there's all types of Rangers. These chickens are advertised as better growers than heritage breed and better foragers than the Cornish Cross. This here is a rainbow Ranger. Very similar to a red Ranger. Any of the Rangers are going to be pretty similar, pretty straightforward. You'll notice less breast meat than the Cornish, but still a really good sized chicken. If you compare that to an egg layer of the same age, we have some over there. The egg layers are just much, much smaller, the commercial breeds. These usually finish not in 8 weeks like the Cornish, but somewhere around 12 weeks, which is the age of these birds. They're going to be just about 12 weeks old here. So this is a finished bird. It's not the largest of the bunch, but it is a nice sized chicken, and it will make for good eating. Oh, sorry. Touchy subject. This year we decided we'd never tried Rangers before, so we raised 20 rainbow Rangers and we raised 50 Cornish Crosses. That gives us 70 birds. Now, why did we raise 70 chickens? Well, let's talk about how you figure out how many chickens you want to raise for a year's worth of meat. This is pretty simple. First, you have to figure out how many chickens do you eat per week. Our family likes to have chicken for 1 dinner and 1 lunch every week. Hey, we're getting a surprise photo bomb from the turkeys. Our kids are still young, so we find that right now 1 large chicken will give us a dinner and lunch the next day. So we factor an average of 1 chicken per week. Maybe a couple weeks we'll do 2 whole chickens. That means in a year, 52 weeks, we're gonna need somewhere between 50 to 60 chickens. So does that mean we just order 50 to 60 chickens? Well, no, because you have to figure there's going to be some that die. You're going to have some sort of mortality. But to play it safe, factor in 10% when you order. So if our goal was to have 50 to 60 birds, well, we wanted to order 55 to 66. These birds are very close to processing, so I don't expect to lose any more. That's not a challenge to the universe. Please, don't make me regret saying that. So by the time they're processed, we should have 70 birds. So once you've figured out what kinds of chickens you want to raise for meat and how many, you can order them from a hatchery online, or you can find someone locally who maybe has their own dual purpose birds, which are good. Get those chickens on the farm. What equipment are you going to need for raising your own meat birds? This is our setup for meat chickens every year. We use a couple chicken tractors, we have some poultry netting, and with the feeders, the waterers, we put our chickens out on grass, and every year we bring a year's worth of chicken into the freezer in just a couple of weeks. We like to house our chickens in chicken tractors. They're just like a mobile chicken coop. You can go with a traditional coop. The benefit of the chicken tractor is you can move it over grass over time. So we like to move these chickens through our yard. We have a couple chicken tractors which we've built ourselves. There's a great video you can check out, the Homesteady chicken tractor. We teach you how to build that chicken tractor, and you can also check out the video where we talk all about how the tractor works. And there's a lot of different good chicken tractor designs out there and good types. In addition to the housing, you're also going to want to have some feeders and some waterers. You can just use a bucket for water or a little water trough, or you can do the nipple waterers. We use both. For the bigger meat birds, it's nice to give them a bucket during the hot summertime. You'll also notice that we use movable poultry netting. You don't need this if you don't have a big problem with predation. We actually use ours mostly to separate the other chickens from the meat birds. Generally, your egg-laying chickens will harass your meat birds because the egg-laying chickens are a little bit more lively and vibrant. So we make sure that the poultry netting is up to separate the two different types of chickens, and we even put a divider in between the Red Rangers, in between the Rainbow Rangers and the Cornish, because again, the Rangers will harass the Cornish. So the poultry netting helps, some feeders and some waterers. All our feeders are Premier 1 feeders. They make an awesome quality, great quality feeder. We have been sponsored by them in the past, but currently we're not being sponsored by them. They just make really good quality stuff. So I like the Premier 1 feeders. You'll notice my son over there, he's getting ready to feed the chickens now. To do that, we keep a Rubbermaid close by with some feed in it. We can move the Rubbermaid wherever the feeders and waterers are. You can keep everything close. For meat birds, you're gonna wanna buy a chicken grower feed. There's special feeds that are made for growing chicken protein. We start with the chick starter, it's a higher protein, and then there's a chick finisher, which generally is a lower protein, a little less money, but as they get bigger, they need less. However, if you really want to pack on the pounds, you can go with starter for their entire 8 weeks. I've done that before, and it really creates a nice big fat chicken. Now what about butchering? Should you butcher your own birds, or should you have a butcher do the work for you? Well, there's pros and cons to both. We have butchered our own for years. The last couple of years we have crossed over to using a butcher. So why? We used to butcher our own because it saved a lot of money. Each of these birds is $5 where we live to have processed. Where you live it may be cheaper, but if you do the math, 70 birds at $5, that adds up real quick. So we used to take a whole weekend, we'd set up on a Friday, Saturday I would have some friends come and help out, and we'd spend the entire day doing the bulk of the processing, and then Sunday we would take all the finished birds and put them into the freezer. We used to do 50 birds in one weekend. The birds didn't turn out perfect, but they were good enough for us. The other side of the spectrum, having a butcher do your birds, well, it saves you a ton of time, but of course it's a lot more money. The last 2 years, we have paid a butcher to process our birds. Another benefit to having them butchered, especially by a USDA inspected facility, is that then you can sell that chicken a lot easier. Some states you can't sell them without having them processed in a USDA facility. So there it is, an entire year's worth of chicken for my family with even a little bit of extra to sell to our local community. If you want to start raising your own meat chickens, I suggest you don't start with 50 to 70 birds. This is a pretty big operation for just a family or a homestead size farm. So I suggest you start with 10. And I really like the Cornish Cross. So if you're thinking about doing your own meat chickens, I would suggest you order 10 Cornish Crosses. You can build yourself a Homesteady chicken tractor. You could throw 10 Cornish Crosses in there. They wouldn't even need the poultry netting. They could live in the tractor. And if you don't like it, you could sell the chicken tractor on Craigslist when you're all done. This is a fantastic way to put a ton of organic, amazing quality meat in your freezer for your family to enjoy, and even over time perhaps build yourself up a little business.
Homesteady Pioneers help us produce this show for just $5 a month.
In return, they gain access to the Pioneers Only library. If you like this video about chickens, you're gonna love all the chicken-specific knowledge in the library, like the class that I teach at a local school, Chicken Farming 101. You can download that instantly as soon as you become a pioneer, listen to the entire class. Or you can watch the masterclass Chickens 101 video that I filmed right here on our homestead. All about chickens. It's just $5 a month. It will help you grow your homestead, and it will help us continue to produce this show that you love. Go to thisishomesteady.com, click on Pioneers.